Hello, welcome back to MGM. My name is Jimmy. Today we're going to be talking about a new game that caught my eye, Trench Crusade.
Greetings all, may you be the most devout pilgrim or a heretic follower of dark powers. I am Tuomas Pirinen, and you may know me from games like Warhammer 6th Edition and Mordheim, and I'd like to welcome you to this introductory video by the miniature game montage for my new game, Trench Crusade. It is a grimdark game, a skirmish game set in a dark alternate timeline when the gate of hell has opened on Earth, and out of it pour all the demons and devils of hell, and they are met on the field of battle by the faithful to determine the fate of all creation.
Trench Crusade, while still in the making, appears to be a war-torn alternative timeline where forces between heaven and hell battle over desolate battlefields for humanity's soul. The trenches and battlefield have some similarities to World War I. It was created by Mike Franchina, who has been a concept artist in the video gaming industry for quite some time. He has ties to EA Mythic, Runic, and Blizzard Entertainment, most notably in Diablo 4. The rules design is by Tuomas Pirinen, who has penmanship to Warhammer 6th Edition and Mordheim, among several other accomplishments. Now, is this another Mordheim game? Not quite, but Tuomas has been quoted in saying that he feels it is one of his strongest rule sets that he has ever created. There's also a fantastic sculptor on the team, James Sherriff, who has been bringing some of these amazing designs to life. The setting looks dark, some might even say grim dark, but it certainly caters towards a mature audience with its themes and depictions. As of today, version 1.2 of the playtest rules are online, and it includes 2 warbands that are involved in skirmish warfare, the Blasphemous Heretic Legion and the Fanatic Trench Pilgrims. It appears to be set as a war between heaven and hell. Keep in mind that all of this is still in development, and you can keep updated on all of the changes and even give feedback through trenchcrusade.com or on their Facebook group or Instagram. For the rules, you'll obviously need some themed miniatures. I assume that those will be part of a Kickstarter that may release later on this year. The board calls for a 3x3 or a 4x4, which is perfect for skirmish games. The game is played using d6 dice, and both players should have 8 of different colors, as well as some red dice recommended to represent blood markers. The turn sequence appears to be modernized with alternating activations, but based on warband size. By that I mean if your warband starts a turn with more fighters than your opponent, you will go first that turn, and if you have the same amount of fighters on the board, just simply roll off to determine the initiative. Once decided, each model can make actions, and similar to Kill Team as an example, the actions need to be different. Then your opponent will do so, and so on. Some common actions you may take would be to charge, dash, climb, retreat, attack with a melee weapon or ranged weapon, or some other action. Charges appear to be random, which I like. You first check to see if the model is within 12 inches, you roll a d6, and you add that to your movement. In this game, if you get within 1 inch, you are considered to be in engagement range. There are also some risky actions that you can take, and using dash as an example, after you move, you would roll on a chart taking 2d6 plus or minus any dice from the character's profile, including injuries and other sources that can manipulate the dice pool, and you'll pick the highest or lowest 2. After consulting a chart, you will see if the action succeeded. If you fail the test, your action would be over and it would move over to your opponent. As a note, this is a pre-measured game, which I think makes sense with random charges, but to be fair, I do wish there was some guessing involved when making shooting attacks. Now, I talked about plus and minus dice, and to give an example of how that works, if you are shooting from an elevated position, you would get a plus dice. So normally when making that attack, you would be rolling 2d6 and trying to get a number. If you have plus dice, you will now roll 3d6, and you will pick the highest 2. If you're able to meet the threshold needed to hit with the highest 2 dice, then you have hit the target. Now, things like range and cover will give you plus and minus dice. And you may have 2 plus dice, so rolling 4d6, giving you a better chance of hitting your target. The minus dice mechanic works very similar, only it's the opposite. So you will still add 1 to your dice pool, so instead of rolling 2d6, you still roll 3d6 when you take minus dice, but you are now going to take the lowest 2. For example, if you're shooting at a target in cover, and that's the only modifier you have, instead of rolling 2d6, you will roll 3d6 and pick the lowest 2 numbers, hoping to beat the threshold to score a hit. It's really a neat system when you think about it, and instead of taking all these modifiers, you're just simply adding a d6 to the pool and trying to get either the highest numbers or trying to make your score using the highest or the lowest dice depending on what modifiers you have. I think it's clean, I think it's neat, and I'm kind of anxious to play a game and see what it looks like on the table. Now there's also blood markers that we would want some of those red d6 for, and this would represent when fighters are injured. And when you have a blood marker, these can represent, you can have multiple blood markers on you. They represent injuries and things that are happening with your fighter. And your opponent can choose to use those to give you minus dice. So if you declare a shooting attack, I believe your opponent, if you have a blood marker on that fighter, they can declare that they're going to add or give you a minus dice. So you would still add a d6 to your pool, but you would then take the 2 lowest dice from the shot. That is also something that your opponent could potentially use to give you +1 on your injury chart, and there's also blessings that you can use on your turn to try to improve your chance of making a shot. Again, a really neat system that I really like. It keeps both opponents engaged at all times. For factions, it appears to have 2 so far. The published warbands are the Heretic Legion and the Trench Pilgrims. It follows a roster builder that is similar to Mordheim. The Heretic Legion appear to be Hell Unleashed. They are the main force of Satan on Earth, and the book describes sprawling factories of mutilated flesh and metal, forging endless munitions for the ongoing war. Mortal humans, war beasts, demons, and witches accompany them to battle. Rifles, shotguns, grenades, machine guns, flamethrowers, and more are at their disposal. You'll start with a heretic priest as your leader, and then you can recruit a number of normal and elite troops. This is all available online, and all of their stats are present as well, down to their base size, so I do highly recommend checking that out. It's truly grotesque stuff, and I love it because it really sets the stage for the world that we're playing in. On the other side, we have the Trench Pilgrims, who are, as you think, devout men and women that have been touched by heaven. They employ much of the same armory as the Heretic Legion, but they are led to war by a war prophet. I have to say the artwork and the concepts laid out in the online version are absolutely fantastic. You can read all about the weapons, the armor, and the equipment on trenchcrusade.com, and all of the playtest rules are available online, and I will put a link down in the description so you can review them on your own. You can also sign up for updates on their website. I would like to add that I'm not affiliated with this group in any way. I stumbled across this, I really got into it, and after reading the rules, I really wanted to share it with you. I know there's been some other videos out there. I did check on YouTube about those, but it seems like that it's starting to get a lot of traction now, and it just seems like it's going to be a very interesting and fantastic system. My assumption is there will be a campaign element behind driving the engine, a way to tell a story, which I'm always interested in. It's cool that they have provided the information for people to see now, give feedback on, and continue to tweak things moving forward. Overall, I'm really excited to see what's coming next from the creators, and I'd really like to know your thoughts too after you have a read of the rules, check out the factions and everything that they have put out online so far. You can let me know down in the comments. Do you think this would be a game that you're interested in? I obviously love skirmish games. I love the ability to be able to tell a story, and I can't really think of any better factions that represent good and evil like heaven and hell. So I'm really interested to see where this goes, and I'm excited for what the future will bring in 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.